Well, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are around the world. Welcome to another Agency Success live stream from hosting.com. My name is Nathan Ingram. I am the agency trainer here at hosting.com's Agency Success. So glad that you're with us today because we're talking about a fantastic subject, which is how do we make our sites ready for AI agents? So if you're just joining us in the chat, I would invite you to download this handout, which I am still struggling to type today. There we go. The link is waiting on you in the chat. If you're watching this on the replay, you can go to downloads.myagencysuccess.com. Downloads.myagencysuccess.com, and you'll find this in the list of many, many handouts waiting on you in that Google Drive where that link takes you. So you can download this and follow right along, even if you're watching this after the fact. So why is it important for us to make our sites agent ready? I mean, does it even matter? And the answer to that question is yes. If you were with us for a particular office hours back in the month of June, one of the stories we covered in the weekly brief, which is just a few news articles that I talk about at the beginning of office hours that are relevant to our work. It's an interesting article there that showed Cloudflare's own data showed that 57.5% of requests for web pages came from machines, not people, agents and bots. Not people. Bots passed humans for the first time in that study in the history of the internet. And Cloudflare's CEO said that it happened about a year sooner than he thought that it would. So probably every single site you have built is built for the other 42.5% of traffic, like actual human traffic. So what do we do with this growing percentage of internet traffic that is bots, many of which are AI agents combing the web and accessing your site? Now, if you've been around, web design for a while, the idea of bots scanning your sites that's a negative thing. Like, we don't want bots scanning our sites. Well, it depends on the bot, right? These AI agents are helping in many cases to make our sites more findable. AI search results, suggestions, and citations in AI sessions are helping to make our sites even more findable. I'll tell you, in my agency 2 months ago, somehow through some sort of wizardry, it wasn't even intentional on our part, but we were cited in someone's ChatGPT search for a web development agency here in Birmingham, Alabama, where we're located. And we got that contract. It came from ChatGPT, and it was a significant contract. So this stuff matters. It's the machines, these bots, the AI agents aren't only reading, they're now beginning to shop. This is the new trend in 2026. Adobe found that AI referred shoppers convert 42% better than other traffic. So if you have some sort of shop or store or whatever, or any way to make a purchase, and that purchase gets recommended through an AI agent, studies show that people convert 42% better than other means. So that's a big deal. And this is a change because last year they converted 38% worse. So something has flipped. People are starting to use AI tools, and perhaps you're doing that too. I know I do. I've often started having conversations with Claude and ChatGPT instead of going straight to Google or another typical search engine. So the question becomes, the agents are out there. They're recommending traffic and sites and so forth. So how do I make my websites friendlier to these AI agents? And this is a question that Cloudflare built a tool around. And that tool is called Is Your Site Agent Ready? And you find it right here at isitagentready.com. So quick poll in the chat. How many of you give me a yes or a no. Have you tried isitagentready.com before? Or is this the first time you're seeing it? Yes or no? All right, it's kind of a balance. That's awesome. Okay, awesome. This is wonderful. So, if I had to guess, it was about half and half. So, some of you have never seen this before, or certainly haven't spent any time with it. And so, this is going to be eye opening and I think very, very helpful. So, we're just going to start, okay? We're going to run a scan on our demo site here, which will start with purplebeagle.org. And we're just going to drop this in right off the top and hit scan. And it takes about 20 seconds. So we'll sit here and watch the spinner spin. Oh, look, it's a little quicker today. How about that? All right. So off the bat, this is just a WordPress site, right? So if you've been in some of our recent live streams, you may remember purplebeagle.org, which is our friendly Purple Beagle heating and air demo site that we've done some things about, done some things with to, just in demo. It's a very simple content driven WordPress site, period. Out of the box, it's going to score 36. And that's about typical for a standard content oriented WordPress site that you haven't done anything else to. And so this is exactly what I would expect, except for this one item right here. And I have to call this out. And I wish I didn't have to, but I do have to. In my course of preparing for the live stream today, I added the DNS record that checks this box, and apparently is it agent ready has some aggressive caching, because now still for 24 hours after I last tinkered with it, it's still showing up as there. So you won't have this checkbox checked. I'm going to show you how to do all the things to get it checked, but unfortunately you will not have the checkbox checked. Actually, you know what we could do? If you put any other domain in here, if you put your domain in this scan and run it, you would see that checkbox is not checked because it requires a particular kind of DNS record. We'll get into that later. I just want to let you know that. So discoverability would have been down to 3 out of 4 because this box wouldn't have been checked. But there's a whole lot of other things here. And notice how it falls into various categories: discoverability, content, bot access control, and API authentication, MCP, etc. And so each of those have some different things they're looking at. And they tell you there's a prompt even here to help you talk to your AI agent to maybe fix some things. So right off the bat, that we get it's a score that we would expect having done nothing else to the site. So we get two numbers. We get a score out of 100, which is here, and we get a level from 1 to 5. Now, so we are level 1, a basic web presence. Now, I don't like the term level. I understand why they did it. There's different levels of sites. Like down here, there's basic web presence. Level 2 is bot aware. Level 3 is agent readable. Level 4, agent integrated. Level 5, agent native. Now, the thing that you have to remember about this is not like a goal, okay? It's like we're not trying to level up necessarily a basic content site all the way up to a site that's like agent native and it's got MCPs and it's doing all sorts of things. It's got an API, all of that. It's overkill. We don't want that. And so that level makes it seem like one level is better than the other. Really, what you should think about this is these are types of sites, right? So this is a basic web presence, and it's fine that it doesn't have APIs. It's fine that it doesn't have integrated agents because it's just a brochure site. Does that make sense? So, I'm not a fan of this term, but I understand why they did it. So we're going to now kind of descend into each of these categories, because before we start fixing the problem, I want you to really see what it is this tool is after, because what that's going to do is help you understand the kinds of things that will make your site more agent ready. Does that make sense? So like understanding what these criteria are, that's going to help us check the boxes of the ones that make sense for a particular website. So let's scroll down here and just kind of start working. All right. So here are the categories of the scan, these 4, and we're going to just kind of walk down them. So let's go right here. The discoverability category is basically answering the question, can an agent find the site? Does it, is it able to like realize there's some special things for agents going on here and so forth? So the first thing it's going to look at is robots.txt. Now, if you've been around web for any length of time, robots.txt should be a reasonably familiar term. It's been a standard for years. It's basically a .txt that'll load and it will show what agent or what user agents are allowed, that sort of thing. It's how you say, okay, Google, don't index my site. And this convention, the robots.txt convention, is also used for AI agents. Now, remember, the robots.txt is not like an enforceable law. It's a request. We're saying, Google, I do not want you to index this site. It's not preventing Google or another search engine from indexing the site. It's simply making your wishes known. It's up to the search engine or the AI agent to honor that request. So one of the things we're looking for is there anything in my robots.txt that would prevent an agent from being able to crawl the site and use the data? So that's the first thing it's looking at. And basic WordPress site, no issue, because when you look at, let's just go to our robots.txt, right at the top here, user agent is a star. Everybody, anybody, everybody can access this site, no problem. That's what we're looking for. We don't want any user agents like naming AI crawler bots and saying, you can't get, we don't want you to get in here. So this site out of the box is agent ready. And by the way, that robots.txt file is dynamically generated by WordPress. You can't like open up your file manager and see robots.txt. Matter of fact, if you can, that means somebody did something they probably shouldn't have and they hard coded it. And you probably want to delete that. This should be dynamically generated by either WordPress or your SEO plugin. Okay, makes sense. Pretty straightforward stuff so far. We'll scroll down here. The next one is a sitemap. Again, this is just an XML sitemap of pages. WordPress creates one by default, or your SEO plugin is going to create one itself if you have that toggled on. It's usually defaulted on. Most WordPress sites have a sitemap these days. So that's good. We get that check mark. Awesome. Now, the next one is the link header. So this is extra information that's sent back to the requester when they are pulling when they're making a request to view the web page. So WordPress will often send, hey, this is how you can access through the REST API and so forth. It just reveals things about itself that it should. So here's a way, like, don't be worried about the security implications of this, because anything that's accessible by the REST API is generally information that you could get from the front end of the site anyway. It's just a shortcut for an agent to use it. So WordPress, again, does this by default. Now, the fourth one here is DNS for AI discovery, which has been acronymed as DNS aid. And what this is a DNS record that lets agents know, okay, here's where you can find all the stuff AI related about this domain. And that's really good. And it works, you kind of think of it like DNS aid is like an MX record. DNS aid, it's like an MX record. The way an MX record tells a mail server where to find things related to email for the domain, the DNS aid record tells AI agents where to find AI related things. And so we have to set that up. We're going to do that later on in this live stream. Again, this should not be checked, but it cached when I was testing this, and I can't, unfortunately, uncache it. Okay, so pretty decent, straightforward stuff here. WordPress is going to check 3 out of 4 of these by default. Now, the next one is our content bucket. And basically, can an agent read your copy efficiently? And so really what we're looking for here is, does the site offer a way to hand AI agents the copy, the content of the page in a markdown format? Now, Markdown, if you're not familiar with it, is basically a very simple text-based way to produce hierarchical text. So instead of an H1 being bracketed in HTML brackets and all those things, it's simply a hash. And H2 is 2 hashes and so forth. So it's a way to preserve markup on a page without having to have all the HTML clutter. And that's the preferred format of AI agents and AI tools, period. And so an AI agent comes to your site. It wants to be able to digest your site with just the plain markdown of the page instead of having to go. I mean, if you've ever viewed source on a WordPress page, it's divs and divs and divs and blah, 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 all the stuff, just all it's a lot. And so this hands an AI agent a cleaner version of the copy on the page. And that's a good thing. They like that. All right, scrolling on down here, the next three are these bot access controls, which is basically, okay, here's the site, but AI agent, this is now what you're allowed to do with the content on my site. So the first one is, are there AI bot rules in the robots.txt? And no, there's none specifically here. Just basic default WordPress is going to check this box right out of the gate. Now you can, as I was mentioning earlier, you can restrict certain AI bots to not accessing your site if you choose. I wouldn't recommend it, but you can. There might be some reasons why you'd want to. But this is looking to see, are any AI agents disallowed from being able to access your site? Now, there's an important note here I just want to mention. I've talked about it a number of times in other live streams, but I want to just mention it one more time here because it is important. If you use Cloudflare for DNS, which I do, I love Cloudflare, huge fan. A major change is coming in September 15th. So what's happening on September 15th, any new domains you add to Cloudflare, not existing ones, but new ones, if ads are served on a page, they are going to, by default, block training agents. So Cloudflare is assuming if you've got ads on a page, you have the content of that page out there in order to make money. Therefore, we don't want a training AI coming and pulling that information off of the page without giving you credit. And that's what those training bots do. And so by default, if you've got ads on a page, Cloudflare is going to turn off, they're going to disallow training AI. Now, the problem with that is multi-purpose crawl, and this is even in Cloudflare's doc, which you can read here. Multi-purpose crawlers like Googlebot, Applebot, Bingbot will be blocked. Bingbot is fun to say. Try that out loud yourself. They'll be blocked. Okay. And the problem with that is Googlebot is both training and search. So if you block Googlebot, you're going to block the ability of that page to show up in AI search. So it's a problem. So just be aware of that and make the right choice in Cloudflare based on, the best, your plan for the site. But that is coming September 15th. All right. Now, moving on down our list here. All right, the content signals. This one I didn't say much about because you're really not going to do anything with this. Oh, it's right here. This is a way for, like, if your site has a bot, it's a way to say this is a legitimate bot. But I would imagine that very few of you have a site that has its own bot doing things. So we're just going to skip over this one. The big one here, though, is our content signals in robots.txt. They've suggested that there should be a new line to robots.txt based on these three criteria. And I realize I'm giving you a lot right now. I just want you to see what's in the mix for each one of these criteria. We're going to solve all of these here in just a minute. So here are the three ideas. Do we want an AI agent to be trained on our site information? Probably no, maybe yes. But this is basically, you're saying, okay, Mr. AI bot or Mrs. AI bot, you can come and just harvest everything on this page. You can use it to train your AI tool and you don't have to give us credit at all. Most cases, I'm going to say it's probably going to be no. There's no link back. Now, AI search, we want yes, and AI input yes, because these are the ones where you get cited in AI active live searching. So we want AI to search the site. Yes, it's going to add our site and information into an index so that when somebody, has a question, your page might be cited as a source for the information. We definitely want that. That's next level, next generation SEO that we're dealing with already right now with these AI overviews and so forth. Then there's AI input, which is, all right, this is an answer written from your page that people are, what is the best web development agency and whatever. And your site is listed there. We want that, right? So it's no, yes, yes, probably no, maybe yes, probably no, no, yes, yes, right here. And we'll need to get those into our robots.txt file. There's an easy way to do that. I'm going to show you in just a minute. All right, I'm going to pause just for a minute. Does all this make sense so far? I've given you a lot, but these are the criteria and the things we need to be thinking about if we're going to make our site agent ready. Okay, so take a breath. Let's keep going, because the next part is the more complicated AI part, which deals with APIs and authentication and MCPs. So notice down here, by default, every one of these gets an X. All 5, 6, 7, all of them get an X, because no WordPress site out of the box is going to publish an MCP server card or an API catalog or an agent card or agent skills or any kind of OAuth or web MCP. So it's core WordPress doesn't do that, because most, like, you don't need an MCP for grandma's cookie blog, right? Just it's overkill. You don't need that. So you're going to have X's here. And honestly, in most cases, for most brochure sites, you don't need this. But there are cases like, well, maybe you do have some interesting data that you'd want an AI agent to have a more direct connection to, or maybe you do have an e-commerce site like WooCommerce, and you'd want an agent to be able to connect in and start to interact with your product catalog and suggest purchases and that sort of thing. That's when this gets fun, and we're going to do that in the second example of making an e-commerce site agent ready. There's a lot of stuff here, and we'll deal with those specifically in just a minute. And while speaking of commerce, we'll scroll on down here. That's the next bucket. There are 4 different competing protocols right now when it comes to agentic payments. Now, this is, again, another story that we covered not too long ago during the Office Hours weekly brief, that there's now a wallet that OpenAI is working. They've worked with some other companies, and there's like an agentic wallet. And you can, your agent can have like a max spend, and it can go buy things for you. That terrifies me. But that's where we're going in all this. Now, this is, okay, I'm going to show my age here. How many of you remember back in like the 1980s when there was the war with VHS and Beta? Remember that? Okay, so this is like that. This is a competing protocol. What format are we going to do these agentic payments in? And so there's all 4 of these. They don't really talk to each other. They're just 4 different competing standards. And it's the X402, the MPP, UCP, and ACP. And the idea is, are we exposing any of this stuff, or one or more or whatever, to agents? And if you have an e-commerce site, you might want to consider this, because, if your site offers this protocol, and this is the head scratching part of all of it, maybe the AI agents will be more likely to recommend your site because your site is agent ready and your competitors aren't. Now, there's no published studies or whatever. It seems logical to me that would be what would happen. Okay, so does that make sense? We got all these buckets of categories that are used to give us our score, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. And that's what our scan is run against. Okay, now let's do some live work. Now that we kind of understand what goes into all of this, and again, let me pause one more time. Y'all, this score is like a lighthouse score for Google. Google has decided what it thinks are important to rank sites, with content and, backlinks and speed, and, it's not moving things around on you, all the criteria. And it produces this score. Now, the score may not often be like, does that really mean it's more usable? No. Those are just Google's check boxes they want checked. This score is the same way for Cloudflare. This is Cloudflare's idea of what makes a site more digestible and more friendly to agents, right? So take that with a grain of salt. So let's go and let's deal with getting our content site. That's going to be here at purplebeagle.org. Let's get our content site agent ready. So we're going to start where a typical WordPress blog lands, and we're going to run this scan as a content site. Now, what you may not notice, let's just go back to isitagentready.com. Right here, there is a very subtle link to drop down Oh, look, we can check on and off the different kind of scans we want. Just like, by the way, if you're going to run a lighthouse score, you can check on and off which categories you want that lighthouse report to run in, right? Same principle. And they've now even given us some buttons. Oh, look, this is just a content site. So I've gone from I want to check everything to no, it's just a content site. So let's go back to purplebeagle.org and run our scan again. Now, we've not changed anything. Remember, our previous score was a 36, 37. Anybody remember exactly? Oh, look, we just we doubled it. We doubled it. All right. So, wow, what happened? Well, we just took away some of the criteria. So now it checks more of the boxes. So we just altered the scan and we falsely inflated our number here. So when it comes to a basic web presence, we are a 71 out of 100 now. Awesome. Now, how do we actually improve? Now, Ben is saying, is it level one still? Yeah, because it's just a basic web presence. It's a brochure site. That's kind of what we want it to be. It doesn't have there's really no need for this simple informational brochure site to offer things like MCPs and APIs and all of that sort of stuff. So I would guess that the majority, like if you manage a bunch of WordPress sites for your clients, the majority of your sites fall into this category. Just a brochure site. Maybe it's got a contact form, not a whole lot going on there. Maybe an online booking thing. It's just, it's a basic informational site, right? So that's what we're going to start off with working. It's very easy to remediate these. Okay. So, the number jumped up and nothing about the site has changed. The reason is we took some of the criteria away. Now, I'm going to introduce to you a plugin that has made the world so much easier when it comes to getting your site more friendly to agents. It's one, honestly, I just discovered this week. I was planning on doing a lot of this stuff with code through Nova Mira, dropping it in, doing some things. This plugin, it's fairly new. It's got less than 1,000 installs. It's getting some traction. It's fantastic. Okay. I really like this plugin. So we're going to activate Messio for Agents. So let's go in our plugins. I already have it here. We're just going to scroll down and activate Messio for Agents. It is in the WordPress plugin directory. You just install it. You're good to go. So let's activate this. And now under settings, we have Messio for Agents. So let's take a look at some of the settings here. They should be, now that we've seen the criteria that's going into making these judgment calls of rankings, you're going to see some things that look familiar. So, well, first of all, we're going to set our language. Then we're going to look at, okay, what post types do we want to impact with our SEO scores? Do we want media? Maybe. If if you're doing an SEO play for having your media indexed, might as well. So we've got English set. We're going to scroll down. Now, notice here, we've got some settings here for our agents.txt. So we want our agents to be able to do anything past the slash, except for, just don't go into WP admin. Don't go to the login page. You can add more if there's other pages you don't want the agents to fool around with. But pretty well, the out-of-the-box setting for this are really all that you need. And you can even preview this agents.txt file that it's going to produce. Now we're going to go down here. Remember those content signals that we looked at for AI train, search, and input? It's going to do those for us. And what it has here is the default settings is probably what you want already, which is don't use this for AI training. Yes, allow indexing. Yes, allow to use AI contents. That's exactly what we want. AI train, no. Search, yes. Input, yes. So let's save those settings. Down here at the bottom of the page, it's going to give us some quick links. Like if we want to take a look, it's created for us already in llms.txt. So wow, look at that. This is all the blog posts on the site with a link and a summary. So it's built this for us right away. Here's all our pages. llms.txt is basically a sitemap in Markdown for AI agents. So, and it gives us some instructions here. Look at this. All pages on this site are available as clean Markdown by adding this into your request header. So you may remember, if you've been with me for a while, we did some stuff around Markdown on your site with a really cool plugin that the Yoast team created called Markdown Alternate. It's a GitHub plugin, still works great. This plugin is better. It does a lot more things. One thing you can't do, though, if you remember from that other plugin, you could actually see the output of the Markdown in the browser. This one doesn't work that way. This tells an AI agent to just add a request in the header that they send over programmatically that you want the text Markdown version, and it'll hand it right back. So the AI agent is going to look for this file. It's going to see what to do, and it's going to request pages using the correct header, and it'll go. And so look, here's where my REST API is located if you want to grab stuff that way. So again, no security issues here. We're simply handing the AI agent instructions on how to use our site most efficiently for itself. And that's what is making this site more friendly to AI agents. Gene is asking, should we remove the Markdown plugin? Yes. So again, this is back to the old rule of you don't want two WordPress plugins doing the same thing. Pick one. I would suggest picking this one. It's better. It does more. Now, the Markdown Alternate plugin is just fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It does the same job essentially. This just offers more features in one plugin. Okay. So what else do we have here? Our LLM's full.txt is just a lot more information. We have also the agents.txt that we looked at. So this is specific instructions for our agents. We've got some context and an open API here as well. So wow, many things. This is a JSON output, a blob about the site, and we've got some other JSON output about how to use the things on the site. So what this plugin does, and literally, you noticed I didn't change anything. I clicked media. It's going to come with posts and pages checked by default. You could literally install this plugin and activate it. Done. Now let's look what this does to our score. So let us now rescan this site as a content site and see what it does. There you go. 100. So is our site agent ready? It is now. Now, all these other things, look, we skipped those. It doesn't have an API. It's an HVAC site. There's not an API. Give me a break. So it's all ready to go. Now, again, the one thing here that would not be checked is this one. And if you came in late, I apologize. In preparing for this test, I set up the DNS record for this site, and Is It Agent Ready cached it. And it's been over 24 hours. It hasn't let go. It just is what it is. So this would not be checked. But honestly, for a content site, this doesn't really even matter. It's not important for a content site. I would just uncheck that option in the things that like just uncheck this because you don't need DNS aid for a basic content site. It is a mystery to me why they've put it here in the content site bucket. Sue says, where did you get that DNS record? I'm going to show you in just a minute. Now, Chris noticed that we've bumped up here to level 5 agent native. And the reason for that is probably because of the Markdown negotiation. And we've got the content, not content signals, but it's probably just the Markdown as well as all these other agent-friendly things that it produced. So the scan probably picked up these things as well. And it has made it, look, we got a level up. But the bottom line is it's a content site. And for a content site, it's doing exactly what it needs to do to hand the AI agents the information they're going to want to get in the manner that is most efficient for that AI agent to use. Okay, now pausing for just a moment. Questions. Now, the chat has been going like this. So if you have a question that I missed, drop it in the chat again really quick. Elizabeth, yes, we're going to look at Messio's other plugin in just a minute. Karen says, do you recommend using the copy prompt in each section of Is It Agent Ready? No, we didn't touch that at all, right? if you have a content site and you want to make it agent ready, just activate Messio for agents. Done. We haven't jumped into any of this, right? Like, it will tell you, how to do the things that will help you solve these issues. But honestly, I just use the plugins. They're fantastic. Carla, does this robots.txt file replace the current file? Okay, again, there is not a robots.txt file. If you open your file manager and you see an actual robots.txt file in the root of your site, you should probably delete it unless you know exactly why it's there. Because robots.txt should be generated dynamically by WordPress with the help of your SEO plugin if you have one. Now, the robots.txt file now looks like this. So it added those content signals in there, and we're still not blocking any AI agents. Does that make sense? Sue is asking, this impacts Google Analytics and independent analytics, right? No, I don't think so. Karen, for more complicated sites, just hang on a minute. We're about to do something for an e-commerce site with the other Messio plugin called WebMCP that's going to unlock all of those things. Sue, you says you won't see more visitors if bots are allowed. You're probably seeing them already. Because again, unless you've done something now specifically to block AI agents, by default, WordPress allows AI agents. Unless you're blocking them at Cloudflare with a rule that is aggressively blocking AI agents wholesale, WordPress isn't going to block those. So you shouldn't see a change in your traffic. Matter of fact, we're saying we're open for business for AI agents. We want you to come in and scan and reference us and so forth. Okay, everybody good? We ready for the next phase? Okay, now is my e-commerce site agent ready? So let's put Purple Beagle to bed and let's flip over to WP Nathan. Now, WP Nathan is more than just the home of office hours questions. It is the home for a whole demo WooCommerce shop with all of the WooCommerce demo products that you can get when you download the blob of things from WooCommerce. Okay, so we have some product here. It's a basic store, though. There's nothing really special about any of this. But we are now going to start with our same process here. So in addition to the scans and fixes above that we did for a content site, there's additional checks that'll apply to an e-commerce site. So this is the weird thing, and I'm not even really sure why this is. But in the tool, is it agent ready? It doesn't recognize WooCommerce. I don't understand why that is. Like it says, like there's no e-commerce signals that show up when it's even on the shop page in many cases. It will miss that there's even e-commerce here. So if it says for you, no e-commerce signals were detected on this site, it's okay. The whole commerce category is marked optional. So unless you're specifically scanning for it, it's not going to impact your score. Score is not even really the issue. But I'm just letting you know there's weirdness with the way, for whatever reason, is it agent ready doesn't often pick up on WooCommerce. But we can offer to AI agents a whole lot more information about our site, exposing functionality like through the WordPress REST API, like Woo search products, Woo get product, Woo add to cart. It'll expose all these things about our site to offer to agents to operate as though they were running the browser as a regular user sitting behind their computer. So you can send it a product search. You can ask for prices, stock status, and it can query straight out of WooCommerce. Now, that's really helpful. It's going to make your site, again, a lot more friendly to an AI agent. You're giving them the information your site is already making publicly available, but you're giving the agent that information in the way that's most efficient for it to access, which it should appreciate. So let's install another plugin here. This one is called WebMCP Bridge. Now let me jump over here to the plugins of WP Nathan. And as with the other site, we do need to activate Messio for agents because it's still a content site. It just has extra stuff. So activating Messio for agents is going to give us that immediate good score. But now we're also going to activate WebMCP Bridge. Now, let me talk just for a minute about what WebMCP is. WebMCP is it's a protocol that's still in development. It is supported basically by Chrome and some others, but it's a proposed browser standard that allows websites to declare what API tools are available when an agent comes to visit. The details are still being worked out. That doesn't mean that we can't offer it yet, though. We can still expose all the things this site offers, like, searching products and adding to cart and all those things. We can still offer that information to AI agents and supply it in a way that they understand where to get it and what to do with it. Okay. So again, we've just activated the plugin. Here under settings, there is now a setting for WebMCP Bridge. Again, this is also by Messio, the developer who created the previous plugin we showed. And there are a few toggles. So we can turn it off or on. We can, are we going to allow agents to search posts? Absolutely. Are we going to allow, well, right now it only works with contact form 7, which is unfortunate. Do we care? We can leave it on. Agents can discover the menu structure. Agents can search products, manage the cart, and apply coupons. Yes. Now, you might say, what if I get attacked by 1,000 agents? Okay, that's what this rate limit call comes in for. Now, this is a global limit. And so the idea here is in any 60-second window, we will allow 120 interactions with agents. That's the default setting. Now, that's not just one agent, that's all agents. So in the background, this counter is running. For every 60 seconds, agents around the world can interact with the site 120 times. I think that's a fairly good starting point for, rate blocking. Now, if you find that for whatever reason the site's just absolutely getting hammered by AI agents, you can tweak this. This is pretty good out of the box. This is not going to overwhelm the site unless you're just on the worst shared hosting known to man. And if you have a WooCommerce site, for heaven's sakes, get it off of shared hosting. But that's a whole other subject. Okay, so in any 60-second window, we'll take up to 120 calls to the API. So we'll save this. Again, I haven't changed anything. These are the default settings. And so there are some live API examples here. So we can say, all right, what does the manifest look like? We can run that and we get this JSON reply. Hey, this is all the things you can do. Search posts. You can do, here's all the things that you're able to do. And look, there's a long menu. This is what it would deliver to the agent. Just all the things you can do, like add to cart. And this is how you do it. And this is the way you request it in this format. So it's basically an instruction manual for a web agent to use WooCommerce right there agentically. Pretty cool. And so there's, here's our site information. This is what it looks like. If you want to search posts, here's how you do that, and so forth. So we can kind of see all the things that are going on here. Here's our LLMs.txt. That's pretty neat. All right. So all of that is in place. We literally just installed and activated the plugin. And again, is it a security risk? No, because it's just doing what any other visitor could do manually on the front end of the site. It's not exposing any secret things. It's just giving an agent a way to do its work more efficiently. Okay, so let's take a quick look then at our scan for wpnathan.com. Now I'm going to leave this alone. We're going to do the whole set here. And let's just run a quick scan and see where we land. Look at that. We are now level 5 agent native, and we've got all but one of these skills. Everything else is set up and working. What do we not have? We don't have agent register. We wouldn't do this anyway. This is that one option I told you about where your site has a bot, and this is a way for other sites to authenticate that your bot is the real bot. So we don't even care about this. Matter of fact, we can just, why don't we turn that off? Which one was it again? Auth.md. Let's just even turn that off. And if we scan now, we're going to be close to perfect. Because we're not, yeah, look at that, 100 now. Because we don't have a bot. It's fine. So we're showing at least one of the agentic commerce protocol. This plugin, WebMCP, makes available this agentic commerce protocol, which is the most common. Other ones would require a little bit of work. So if you wanted to actually do this, here's where you could copy a prompt to give to your AI agent to make a MU plugin or whatever to allow this. But this is a great start because agentic commerce is still kind of it's not widely used right now. So look at that. We activated the plugin and we're checking all the boxes. Pretty amazing, right? Now, the one thing that we would still need to do, and again, I've mentioned this a few times, but this is already showing up as checked because it was cached from over a day ago when I was testing this all for this live stream. And I want to show you how to create this DNS record because it's super easy to do. We're just going to use Cloudflare for this, and we're in the WP Nathan DNS. I'm going to add a record. Now, the trick here is this is a kind of DNS record that you may have never seen before. It's called an SVCB record. I had never created one of those until yesterday when I was testing this. And by the way, if you have one of those ancient DNS systems, like you're using some registrar and the DNS system hasn't been updated since like Windows 98, it may not show this type of record, which is just like, look, move to a different DNS platform. Cloudflare supports it. So we're going to scroll down and select SVCB. And then the name of the record is this right here, index._agents. That's what it should be. So we'll paste that in there. Priority is 1. The target is yourdomain.com, which is wpnathan.com. And then the value is always going to be this right here. So let's just copy this, paste that in, save the record, and you're done. So this record, if you read it as a sentence, it basically says, all right, agent services for this domain, wpnathan.com, live at wpnathan.com on port 443, speaking the MCP language. That's how you tell the agent, hey, this is what you do. So when an agent goes to visit a site, it's going to look for that record. Then it unlocks all the things that it needs to know about the site. So that's pretty cool. Now, there are a couple of gotchas here. Again, some hosts don't support SVCB. Move to a DNS host that does. And also, and this is kind of the tricky one, DNSAID requires DNSSEC to be enabled. Now, that's beyond our context for today's live stream, but this is basically a way to cryptographically show that, yes, this DNS host is the authorized DNS for the platform. If you're in Cloudflare, it's as easy as clicking this button right there. It's enabled for this site. There's an enable DNSSEC and you're done. Like, it's super simple. On some other DNS, registrar DNS, that it can be kind of convoluted. Another great case for Cloudflare. So just you click the button, it's done. You can add your other record, you're good to go. All right, so pausing just for a minute. What does this record do? It's going to tell the agent to look in the well-known folder. Now, you may recognize .well-known as the place where things like your validation for an SSL certificate lives. It's also where agent instructions go. That's just where they go. And agents know, oh, if you've got this record, I need to go look in the well-known folder because all the stuff is going to be there, and it will be. So all that is there. It lets the agent know what's available, and you're done. You have made your site incredibly agent ready, literally by activating two plugins. Literally by activating two plugins. Pretty cool. All right. Pausing now. We're just about at the top of the hour. I see some questions have come in the Q&A. If you've asked questions in the chat that I've missed, please re-ask them really quickly, and I'll do my best to answer them in the time that we have available. Gene asks in the Q&A, does the Messio plugin need to stay on the site activated? Yes, it does, because that plugin needs to be alive in order to produce all the things that it's producing. Just like your SEO plugin needs to be alive and active the whole time. Scrolling up, Gene is asking, would you want the robots to have access to the form? Okay, so that's going back to like this right here. Maybe, maybe if it's a booking form, you want the agent to fill it out for you. If it has a CAPTCHA, that's going to be difficult, but yeah. Sherry says, how will this setup work with other carts? Like, what if I bring Shopify? Oh, that's a great question, Sherry. I don't know. You'd have to experiment with that. My guess is you'd have to have some sort of MCP in WordPress that knows how to interact with those things. So this would be problematic if you're embedding Shopify into WordPress. Gene says, would you want to include custom post types like portfolio and testimonials? Yeah, sure. Absolutely. In our example site, we just didn't have any. Otherwise, they would have showed up here as one of the things you could check on. Like we had posts and pages and media. Other custom post types would have showed up there as well. So I would say this. If you're exposing the information in those custom post types to search, like in your sitemap and so forth, you definitely want to expose them to agents as well. Class says, in Messio, you excluded some pages like login. What about confirmation pages that visitors get to only after buying or form submission? Yeah, you could do that, certainly. Now, what you would want to do, though, class, instead of doing it in that spot that you just saw, you would want to do that like in your SEO plugin. So like changing this to, no index, that's going to put that indication in your robots.txt, and agents should also follow that. That's the way I would do it. But it wouldn't hurt to do it twice. But I think it's double the work, and the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Other questions that I've missed, perhaps. Let's see. I'm scrolling back up through the chat. I think I've gotten all of them. Okay. So you think you can do this? I'm pretty sure you can. So here's my advice to you. Get started. Pick a site. Run a full scan on your site, and then 2 or 3 other client sites, and then run it again with a content site preset and check out the difference, right? Then go set up Messio for agents, add it to one of those sites. The default settings are likely going to work just right out of the box. And if you have an e-commerce site, install both Messio for agents and the WebMCP plugin and watch those scores bump up. Now, here's the thing. Nobody really knows how this is going to impact whether you show up better in AI search or AI commerce. Nobody knows. The people that are giving lots of statistics on that stuff right now are people trying to sell you something. So, take it with a grain of salt. I would say watch and see what your traffic looks like. WooCommerce, for example, will show in its marketing reports, it shows where the purchases came from. Was it organic search? Was it Google? Was it Facebook, social, whatever? It will show ChatGPT or Claude in that list. And so you can actually track, hey, am I getting sales through AI? We manage a couple of e-commerce sites, and one of them just recently showed a sale via ChatGPT. That's pretty cool. And that was without us doing anything about it. Okay, so if you want to boil this all down, pick a site, install those 2 plugins, run the scan, you're done. Literally. But now hopefully you understand a bit more of the background about all the things that's happening to make your site agent ready. Okay. Well, folks, that is going to wrap us up for today. Thanks for hanging out with me for the last hour. I hope you've learned a couple of things and you have a great way forward to making all of your sites more agent ready. My challenge to you is to tinker with this at least once between now and office hours in 2 days. And come to office hours with any questions you have about making your site more agent ready. I would love to dig into that with you. All right, folks, thanks for hanging out. I will see you back here Thursday for office hours, 1 p.m. Central, 11 a.m. Pacific, and wherever that translates to your time. Join me here for that. It'll be a lot of fun. Yep, so that's it. Thanks for being with us today on Hosting.com's Agency Success, where we go further together.